these guys, after accusing me of misinformation, are waging war against our old friend Tylenol. That cute little caplet we've known and eaten for years is now public enemy #1. The president and the croakiest Kennedy are telling us not to take Tylenol, which is confusing between the new rules for that and vaccines and who knows what else is next, maybe Flintstones vitamins.
Trump brought Elon Musk to the White House. They bring a Tesla, and Trump's like, I'm buying a Tesla with my own money, and
which nobody believes.
And the man did a full-on infomercial. I'm like, this is the president of the United States.
Yep.
Shilling cars for this low price, one-time offer. You can buy a Tesla if you call now, and for this short-time, limited period.
The latest chapter of Trump's presidency doesn't play like a gripping political drama. It's more like a sitcom nobody meant to write, directed entirely by chaos. Jimmy Kimmel and Trevor Noah barely need to craft jokes because the material parades itself onto the stage. Trump dreamed of being the heroic lead in history's great story, but he keeps tripping into scenes that belong in a blooper reel. Kimmel nails the absurdity by comparing him to a man who orders a steak, burns down the restaurant, and then expects applause for saving the cow.
I hear from one very special friend. Moments after we taped our show last night, the Mad Red Hatter wrote, I can't believe ABC Fake News gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back. You can't believe they gave me my job back. I can't believe we gave you your job back.
The point is Trump sent out one of his thingies, I don't know what they're called, and it was like, Trevor Noah was never funny, Jon Stewart was only slightly better, and then like he goes on like a rant and he's just like, these people don't realize if they moved more to the center like me, they would have more followers. Then I'm like, center like you? I'm like, my man, you think you're in the...
Trump's big idea of running the country like a reality show is the gift that never stops giving. Every press conference feels like a disastrous audition for America's Got Talent. Except the only talent on display is making facts disappear and juggling contradictions. Kimmel jumps on this, joking that Trump turns briefings into unwanted open mic nights where the punchlines write themselves. Trevor Noah piles on, pointing out how his campaign promises have aged worse than milk left out in the sun. The infamous wall that was supposed to redefine national security didn't collapse because of fierce opposition. It became a global joke thanks to the sheer incompetence of its execution.
I was at the Ryder Cup over the weekend, which kind of explains this caveman-like behavior. The president has been hard at work coming up with all sorts of nonsense to distract us from the Epstein files, including, I don't know if you saw this, but he made a major announcement. I am ordering my administration to declassify and release all government records related to Amelia Earhart. Her final tip and everything else about her. Thank you for...
What is he going to do when he loses?
Yeah, people act like it's gonna...
I'm being for real about this, by the way. Like, I think people take for granted that guy thinks everything is a conspiracy.
Trev, you're smarter than me. Please explain this to people, because I've been trying to tell people this. It's not going to be a peaceful transfer of power. I don't think it's going to be a transfer of power at all. I don't think he's going anywhere.
I don't think Donald Trump does anything normally. I wouldn't be shocked if he just goes like, I'm not...
Then there's Trump's rocky relationship with numbers, which is about as steady as his revolving door of advisors. Statistics wander into his speeches, only to crumble into nonsense, like confetti tossed by someone who's never seen a parade. Kimmel highlights the pattern perfectly. Trump declares record-breaking achievements with the misplaced confidence of a student who never cracked open the textbook. Noah takes the joke further, comparing his economic claims to the overblown sales pitch of a guy insisting his used car runs perfectly, while forgetting to mention it's missing the engine. Every boast is a balloon, and every fact check pops it instantly.
And there's more. The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. No, they weren't. Something happened between then and now because his audience is gone and his talent was never there. That I can't argue with. Shut the up. The freedom of speech is only for me.
Foreign policy under Trump often feels like a parody of diplomacy. He tries to project strength, but it comes off more like a teenager flexing in front of a mirror. Kimmel mocks his summit appearances, likening them to awkward family reunions where one uncle won't stop trying to be the center of attention. Noah cuts even deeper, pointing out that Trump seems to think shaking hands with world leaders is the same as negotiating deals. Strategy is replaced by spectacle, substance by slogans. On the global stage, he's not the statesman representing America. He's the comic relief keeping everyone awake.
Say what you want to say about Eric Adams. He did one thing no other New York City mayor has ever done. He made Bill de Blasio look good. So there's talk that Mayor Adams might become our next ambassador to Saudi Arabia, which that would be good for Trump finally, and Eric he can be proud of representing him. As you know, over the last 10 days or so, we've been through quite an ordeal. And by we, I mean Mets fans. Yesterday I was wearing my Mets hat, I was wearing my Mets shirt, and wouldn't you know, the Mets went and did the Metsiest thing possible.
Domestic policy doesn't fare any better. Trump vowed to drain the swamp, but as Noah jokes, the swamp didn't disappear. It just got a luxury hotel and room service. Kimmel drives the point home, highlighting the absurdity of a man who railed against elites only to spend his presidency golfing with them. Every time he crowned himself the champion of the working class, another billionaire found a seat in his cabinet. It's the kind of bait and switch that would make a used car salesman blush. Yet Trump does it with a grin, and still expects a standing ovation.
Interrupt the president. Why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny, and who puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democrat garbage? Who puts the network in jeopardy? You hear that? There's the threat again. This time straight from FCC Biscuit's mouth. He goes, he says, I think we're gonna test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. A true bunch of losers. Only Donald Trump would try to prove he wasn't threatening ABC by threatening
And then there's Trump's all-consuming obsession with image. A fixation so intense, it overshadows any actual governing. Kimmel skewers his fixation with crowd sizes, mocking the absurdity of a man who turns national tragedies into math debates just to soothe his insecurity. Noah piles on, laughing at the spectacle of the leader of the free world spending his nights tallying social media likes like a teenager grounded from prom. For someone so desperate to be remembered as historic, Trump's legacy reads less like a statesman's record and more like the diary of someone addicted to validation. And when it comes to scandals, they're less isolated events and more like a never-ending carousel, spinning so fast that no one can process one controversy before the next comes flying off. In comedy, that's called a setup and a punchline. In Trump's White House, it's just another Tuesday.
He's releasing the Earhart file. At least he made it to the E's in the files. That's progress. Tomorrow we release the Ebert files. We will finally get to the bottom of what happened to Siskel. Meanwhile, Vice President Maybelline was making the rounds, attempting to defend his boss and the chairman of the FCC with a new fairy tale even a 5-year-old wouldn't believe.
Celebrities are rallying to his cause, saying this is a First Amendment assault being carried out by the FCC, Brendan Carr, and by the President of the United States himself. And to that you say?
Well, there are two things. First of all, I'd like them to tell me exactly what Brendan Carr did to have Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air, because number one, he is currently on the air, and to the extent that he isn't in certain stations, it's because he's not funny and because his ratings aren't.
Even Trump's speeches have become comedy gold. Noah tears into his rambling delivery, comparing it to someone reading a bedtime story, but constantly forgetting who the main character is. He jokes that Trump's addresses sound like badly translated instruction manuals. Long, confusing, and completely useless. For comedians, it's a gold mine. For the country, it's a migraine. The contrast is painful. Late-night hosts profit from the laughs, while citizens pay the price of enduring the chaos. Healthcare policy turns into another running gag. Trump's promise to repeal and replace became a masterclass in doing neither. Kimmel likens it to promising a cake and then serving an empty plate with sprinkles. A slapstick routine performed on the stage of national well-being.
Yes, guys, at this moment, you know Trump, only Donald Trump, the President of the United States, the man who claims to know where technology, economies, markets, all of it is going. He gets in the car, he looks at the instrument panel and exclaims like somebody who has discovered a new world. He's like, wow, it's all computer.
So he's never been in a Tesla.
Yeah, but he doesn't say it's all digital.
No, it's all computer, like your
It's all
grandma.
it's all computer.
Yeah, they put computer in car.
Then there are Trump's infamous loyalty tests. Not about governance, but about ego. He doesn't want advisors. He wants cheerleaders. Kimmel mocks the revolving door of firings and resignations, calling it the worst episode of The Apprentice ever brought to life. Noah pushes the joke further, pointing out that anyone brave enough to tell the truth was escorted out faster than a heckler at a comedy club. Surrounding himself with yes men doesn't make Trump strong. It makes him delusional. And every time one of those loyalists gets burned, comedians sharpen their jokes, reminding everyone that ridicule is the only thing he consistently hires. His environmental policy offers more material. Trump yanks the US out of agreements like a kid storming away from a game he's losing. Kimmel skewers the contradiction of a man who preaches greatness while stumbling over the basics of governance. Noah captures the irony perfectly. The louder Trump declares himself a legend, the harder history laughs. Great leaders inspire nations. Trump inspires punchlines. Great leaders build legacies. Trump builds comedy sets. And the proof is etched into every headline and immortalized in every late-night monologue.
I have to feel sorry for the people who work for him, who try to clean up the messes. They've been bending over backwards to say, oh, he never threatened. J.D. Vance today made the claim that what the FCC chairman said was a joke, which, I don't know, maybe that was a joke? I don't know. They go to all these lengths to say, oh, it wasn't coercion, the president was just musing. And then the second Trump is alone, he sits on the toilet, he gets his grubby little thumbs on his phone, and he immediately blows their excuse.
Even Trump's use of social media is impossible to take seriously. Kimmel calls it the world's worst diary, a place where secrets aren't hidden but shouted into the void. He mocks the absurdity of a sitting president, turning the digital town square into his personal therapy session. Instead of policy updates, Americans get emotional outbursts and unfiltered chaos. For Kimmel and Noah, it's free material. For the rest of the country, it's a reminder that the man in charge believes governance is just one post away from perfection. The economy doesn't offer Trump any refuge either. He loves to brand it as his personal masterpiece, but comedians shred that illusion with ease. Kimmel jokes that giving him credit for economic growth is like thanking the rooster for the sunrise. Noah digs deeper, exposing how his so-called victories were mostly inherited momentum repackaged as genius. Trump's refusal to acknowledge reality becomes a punchline in itself, with Kimmel mocking him as the guy who thinks ignoring the fire alarm will somehow stop the building from burning.
Spent some time bragging about his $200 million ballroom again. He said it's going to be the greatest ballroom anywhere in the world. Oh, how exhilarating for all of us. He's so excited for these balls, he can taste them. Trump claims he's going to pay for some of the cost of the ballroom as a gift to us, which, thank you very much. We'll never be in it, but thank you very much. And he's already figured out where to get the money. Trump today became the first president to sue the New York Times. He's suing the New York Times for $15 billion for defamation. $15 billion. Where does he even come up? These are like numbers my children make up when they're talking about.
Noah leans into the irony, pointing out how a global emergency became just another stage for Trump's self-promotion. Instead of calm leadership, the country got a strange display of denial dressed up as optimism. With catastrophic results that comedians could only highlight through bitter laughter. The lack of a real plan turned daily briefings into tragicomic episodes. Trump strutted across the stage like a man auditioning for a role he wrote himself, except the script never existed. Kimmel compared the spectacle to improv theater, performed by someone who doesn't know the rules, while Noah reminded viewers that the improvisation wasn't just embarrassing, it was dangerous. Moments that should have brought clarity devolved into surreal monologues where facts were trampled under ego. The crisis called for solutions, but all the nation got was spectacle, and the only applause came from comedians cashing in on the endless supply of material. Reality had become so absurd that satire struggled to keep up.
Trump announced the suit this morning. He wrote, "Today I have the great honor of bringing a $15 billion defamation and libel lawsuit against the New York Times, one of the worst and most degenerate newspapers in the history of our country. The Times has engaged in a decades-long method of lying about your favorite president, me, My family, business, the America First movement, MAGA, and our nation as a whole, the New York Times has been allowed to freely lie, smear, and defame me for far too long, and that stops now.
Beyond the daily disasters, the long-term damage sealed Trump's fate as a cautionary tale rather than a leader. Kimmel joked that he turned the White House into the world's most expensive open mic night. Except here, the punchlines cost lives. Noah drove the point home, noting that the man who boasted about being indispensable was utterly unprepared when it mattered most. The legacy he leaves isn't one of strength or resilience, but of chaos and confusion. In trying to write a heroic chapter, Trump ended up scripting a farce. Even as the crisis deepened, his obsession with appearances made the situation even more absurd. Kimmel mocked his relentless hunger for applause, reminding viewers that no leader obsessed with TV ratings should be trusted to manage a disaster. Even his recovery plans felt like comedy sketches. Grand promises of miraculous turnarounds delivered with the overconfidence of a salesman peddling snake oil.